Talk about today is homework. It took me almost 9 months to build an explanation of services. I teach it every Monday. I have 50 people around the country that I coach, and we do financial services. Probably the most commoditized industry besides real estate and attorney. So when you talk about how do you make yourself look different, smell different, feel different, it's be different. And the problem with most training programs is they put you into a pigeonhole of everybody else. You'll sound like everybody else, you'll look like everybody else, you'll dress like everybody else, the words that come out of your mouth are like everybody else, and you're wondering, how come I'm not becoming attractive? Why don't I become a person of interest? And it's because we as an industry train people wrong. I believe what you do has nothing to do with why you do it. Let me rephrase that. Why you do what you do is more important than what you do. So today we're going to have a conversation on how to build an explanation of services. I'm going to put a skeleton together. Think of it as a bone, skeleton. I mean, I've got the guy sitting here with a skull, arms, legs, no meat on this sucker at all. Your job is to go home and build the rest of the skeleton. It will be impossible for you to have an EOS at the end of an hour and a half. I'm telling you right now. You can try, and some of you will get it, but you're not going to get the EOS. And I'll also tell you, I have about 200 EOSs, depending upon who I'm talking to. So the good thing about memorizing is that when I can focus on your response, I've already memorized the words. I don't have to worry about what's going to come out of my mouth. I get to focus on the way it's being received. The first time you start building one of these, you're lost in what's my first impression. Am I dressed right? Did I drive the right car? And what are the words that should come out of my mouth? Watch my eyes. I've already disconnected from you, because I'm so deeply trying to think, what should I say? I've lost communication with you. So today we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to talk about how to connect to somebody without sounding like a salesman. Because I firmly believe the more you differentiate yourself in a commoditized industry, the more attractive you can be. But also, if you do it wrong, the more repulsive you can be. So we're gonna spend some time. I want you to take this workbook home, because we're gonna talk about the things that are in here, but we're not gonna fill this workbook out. We're gonna have much more interaction. So what I want to do this morning is I want to go around the room. We don't need to have the people at home listening on this, but I want to know who's in the audience. So here's what I'd like you to do. We're going to start up here. I want you to give me your first name. I want you to tell me what industry you're in. And then I'm going to ask you to answer this question. What do you do for a living? And I am going to fight to not fix it right now, because it is the most difficult thing for me to do, not jump in and save you. We're going to need a few more of these, I guess. And we're printing more. All right, so let's, I've got 6 minutes till. I'm going to wait 1 more minute. So I want you to start thinking about this. Your first name, the industry that you're in, and I'm going to pretend that I'm at a cocktail party, and I'm going to ask you, what do you do for a living? And I want you just to tell me what you would say to that question. And then I'm going to ask you, how do you think that's working for you? Have you ever made an appointment saying what you're going to say? I will argue probably 0. Okay? We're printing some more. We'll have another workbook for you. We're not going to fill the workbook out today. You're going to take it home. My son and I are working with Brad Lee, who does Grant Cardone's virtual training. We're going to be doing a virtual training deal on the explanation of services. It's going to be a much more thorough workbook. It's going to be an interactive video training. I'm not going to have to be here. You just click on, print the PDF, and you'll be able to watch me and my son talk about the explanation of services ad nauseum. And then you'll probably go, God, get away from me. You guys are just horrible. Okay? So let's start up here. Again, first name, industry that you're in, and I'm going to ask you a question. What do you do for a living? All right.
My name is Ethan Campbell. I'm in the financial planning industry, and I believe that everyone has priorities in their life. Number one in mine is God, and number two is my family. No amount of money that you can ever give me will get you into the one or two spot. I help people live their life where money's never in the way of the more important priorities.
God, I want to jump in. Ugh. This is like a father watching their son put their hand on a burning stove, and you just want to just yank the, please let me help you, kid. All right.
Good morning, I'm Jamie Harrington. I'm a commercial lender for Pinnacle Financial Partners, and I'm a problem solver. I help small businesses and their owners identify gaps in their financial situation.
My name is Todd Tressler. I'm an attorney. I secure your peace of mind.
You can cheat, Todd. I'm going to tell you how you could become the most attractive attorney in the area if you'll just tweak what you say when you're asked, what do you do for a living? Yes, sir.
Cliff Spencer, EXP Realty, in the real estate business. I help people buy and sell real estate.
By the way, what's said here stays here. Okay? I'm laughing with you, not at you. I've been where you are. So don't what's that? Trust tree? Well, it's client attorney privilege, right? Right? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
I'm Vicki Taylor. I'm a realtor with EXP Realty, and I help people buy and sell homes.
I know, that's why you're here. It sucks. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'm Dana Abernathy. I am in the mortgage business, and I help mortgage lenders originate more loans and become more profitable.
Shut up. You're in real estate. No. Commercial banking, you're in real estate. Okay.
I'm Chris O'Neill. I work with EXP Realty. I'm a real estate agent, and I believe in serving those who serve others and getting into a new home or selling their current home.
I'm Frank Spitznagel. I'm at First Community Mortgage. I'm in the residential mortgage business. I help people find the perfect mortgage for their lifestyle.
My name's Bill, and I'm in the fitness martial arts industry. I have two clients with adults. We help them learn simple, hard-hitting self-defense techniques while getting in the best shape of their lives. And with kids, we work on focus, self-control, and discipline while they get much-needed exercise because they're not getting to school.
So you could kick everybody's ass in this room. Yes, sir.
My name is John Cleaver. I'm an attorney point team of Transamerica, and I'm in tax-free millionaires.
You got to slow down for me. Your name is Ian?
John.
John. All right. And John, what do you do?
Make tax-free millionaires.
And you work with?
Attorney point team of Transamerica.
You two are so stinking close. Okay. All right. Are we going to go live? We are live. Am I turned up? Yes. Okay. Welcome, Internet people. If you would please do me a favor, we're going to be talking around the handout. The questions that you're going to have, you want to type into the chat window, and then it's going to be read to me. Do not feel like you are being ignored. Just because you're not here doesn't mean I appreciate or do not appreciate you being here. I want you here, and I want you involved, and I want you engaged. So let's go ahead and get started. My first general question is, does anyone ever get positive results where someone in that conversation is going, wow, I got to do business with you? Has what you just said ever gotten anyone to jump out of their seat following you to baggage claim, begging for a business card?
Yes.
You have?
Not in an airport, but in a social setting. If I use my EOS about children, a lot of parents will perk up. And really, I thought martial arts was punching and kicking. You work on focus and self-control, really, and then go from there.
And again, Bill, you're real close too, because there's three parts to an explanation of services. And it's really this simple. There's a statement of belief, a statement of fact, which is what everybody just said to me, although most often poorly. Unfortunately, it's the wrong words. You used commoditized words in explaining what do you do for a living. And we're going to talk about that because there's words you should use and there's words you should avoid. So there's a statement of belief, there's a statement of fact. When somebody asks, what do, you normally respond with what you do, which is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. I want you all to jump on YouTube and I want you to search for Simon Sinek, Start With Why, the 18-minute and 4-second video. It's a TED Talk. It's the most watched TED Talk in history. Start with why. That video changed my life. I wrote down every single word he said in 18 minutes and 4 seconds. And here's some summary of what he has said, the talking points. People don't care what you do. They want to know why you do it. But what you do proves what you believe. The problem is, you don't know what you believe. Now, I go around the country teaching this, and it amazes me. Nobody has a definitive belief statement of why they do what they do. Now, there's a book that Simon started this movement about 8 to 10 years ago, Start With Why. And it's now a worldwide movement. It makes a lot of sense until half the population called Simon and said, we don't have a why. We think we should start with one, but we don't even have one. So last September, he came out with a book, Find Your Why. It's $10 on Amazon. It'll be here this afternoon or tomorrow. You have got to buy this book. Because I will tell you, if you have a definitive why, your explanation of services is so much easier. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, here's what you're going to do. You're going to say, gee, Tom, you sound confident. You sound eloquent. I want to copy what you said. Good luck. My body language is different than yours. And if you remember, back when you took speech class in college, up to 85% of the message that you share with somebody will be received based on how you said it, not what you said. So if I'm up here and I'm reading my explanation of services, I am so happy and excited to be here this afternoon. Here's why I do what I do, and isn't this really exciting? Who wants to hand me a business card and come to me and say, I want to do business with you? But if I can engage you, and if I can help you talk with somebody, not at them, then you're going to create dialogue. That's when communication begins, when you talk with somebody, not at them. And by the way, nobody wants to be told you're doing something wrong. I don't care what business you're in. You're buying houses wrong. You really should do it this way. You arrogant SOB. What makes you think you know anything about what I do and why I do it? I'm already turned off. My son told me a couple years ago, he says, Dad, I'm going to make $1 million a year on the word if. If. If I could show you the 6 parts of the tax code that use the word exempt, meaning you don't have to file a tax return in retirement, would you like to see any of them? No. Goodbye. Goodbye. If we start with what we believe, you are exposing your inner core. And when I get to see your inner core, that's the person I really want to communicate with. That's the person I want to form a relationship with. It's not your sign, it's not your logo, and it's not your company. I'm sorry, it's you. And when you think about it, we have all been collectively trained in a vacuum how to sell their product their way using their language. And then they wonder why they've got 500 salespeople that sound the same. Really? You're wondering why? I can tell you why. You're training them wrong. It is literally this simple. A statement of fact. The second thing you have to do is give me an example. Now, here's where, if you're talking to me and I show an inkling of interest in what you do, then follow up with an example. I've taken kids that are 5 years old and helped them focus on and you're watching their body language and they're going, and then you go for the close. If I could show you how your son could end up doing exactly the same thing, would you enroll in my school? So it's a statement of fact, and it's an example of what you've done, and then it's a question of inclusion. You're going to ask a question in a manner that no matter how it's worded, the only answer that logically could come out of their mouth is, yes, I want to do business with you. Period. Period. Now the rest is fun. The rest is fun. So let's go through, hopefully everybody has a blank sheet of paper, because here's what we're going to start with. If I look at everybody's career, there are things that you do every day that you absolutely despise. Do you think I want to know anything about what you do that you hate? Can you imagine the body language? And I do this, and I also follow up with that, and then I do that. Is this attractive? But if I could lead with something I thoroughly enjoy, I call them passion points. And even in real estate, there are things that you do, and by the way, if you ever write down, cash a commission check, I'm going to shoot you. That is not a why. And I'm sorry, if your why is to make money, I can see right through it, and I'm not interested. If your why is self-serving, I'm not interested. So I'm also then going to give you the template on how to build an effective why. Now again, this is in Simon Sinek's book. I give him all the credit in the world. My goal in life is to meet him once and thank him because I'm making a lot of money now and never having more fun in my life because I start with why I do what I do, and everything else is leave me alone. Okay? I want to, write this down, I want to ... so that ... Now here's what this is actually saying. The I want to part is what you believe. I want to change the world and have everybody sing Kumbaya so that there's no more fighting and everybody is fed. Okay, that's a why. It's a ridiculously stupid why, but it is a why. And if I go around the country and I'm able to eloquently share with everybody that I meet why I want to have everybody sing Kumbaya and feed the world, people are going to migrate to that. And you're also going to get some people who go, man, you are loony, and walk away. Either way, you win. Let's go back to this law of innovation or diffusion, law of diffusion of innovation, excuse me. This is the buying habits of the United States of America. There's the first 2.4% of the population are called early innovators. These are the people that will stand in line at Best Buy 2 weeks before the Apple X comes out. They're not going to wait for anybody to write a story, a review. They don't care if it breaks. They want to be first. And then there's 13.5% of the population that are called the early adopters. These are the people that are not going to wait for a review. They're going to be able to make a decision on their own, but they're not going to sleep in a tent and eat frozen fish heads. They're going to wait for it to go on sale. They're going to wait for the crowds to subside. They're going to walk in from outside, pick it up off the shelf, go to the cash register, pay for it, and go home. Then we have the rest of the people, the early majority, the latter majority, and the laggards. These people still have a rotary phone, and they will never change. So I'm asking you, what would your ideal client look like? This amazes me. When I ask even this question, people go, don't have a clue. My dad used to say, son, if they can fog a mirror, they're a potential client. Well, Dad, with all due respect, if they can fog a mirror and believe what I believe, they will become a client. But just because they can afford your product doesn't mean you want them as a client. How many times have you gotten a phone call at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon? You look at the caller ID and you go, oh, God, it's you. I hate to tell you this, but you know how you got this guy who's calling you about to ruin your day? You took him. You made a conscious effort to take this SOB who was going to dictate your life, control your daily habit, and he's going to be your worst nightmare. But people, I've been late on a mortgage. I know what it's like to be broke. I like making money. And I know why you took him. He was either in a sales contest, you had a mortgage payment that was due, you had to have a transaction. I get that. But I'll tell you, it is so much more fun to fire these people. If you can financially afford to fire them, your whole life is going to change. You start to get some giddy up in your step, and you don't really care about these people anymore because they're the ones that will dictate your life. Who in the room has heard of Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your time is consumed by the 20%? All right, so let's do the reversal. Let's spend 80% of our time with the people that are bringing us 20%, 100% of our revenue. We've got to make a conscious decision to get rid of these 85%. So let's pretend, there is 330 million people in this country, that they're all in a single file and they're dying to talk to me. They're 1 by 1, 330 million long. 10 feet in front of me is a yellow line, 1 foot in front of me is a red line. I simply look at the person and I say, next. They come up to me, stand right in front of my face, and I say, this is why I believe what I believe. This is why I do what I do. My only question to you is, do you believe as I do? No? Goodbye. The explanation of services is not only designed to find you the people who believe what you believe, it's to quickly identify those that would have wasted your life. Now, here's what some of us are going to say, but I'm a good salesman. See, all I got to do is find their hot button. I'm just going to keep exploring till I find their hot button. Oh, my God. Stop. Stop. Your job is to find people who believe what you believe, because here's the most powerful statement in the 18 minutes and 4-second conversation with Simon Sinek. As a salesman, and by the way, the first time I heard this, I thought he was nuts. As a salesman, your job is not to find people who need to buy houses. Your job is not to go out and put a billboard together to find people who need legal services. Your job is to go out and find people who believe what you believe, and when you do, there is no selling, ever. That's why I'm telling you, people. I called your baby ugly. I have called every one of your siblings ugly. You're going to have to go back and practice, because you're going to have to get out of the selling mode. You're going to have to take the language that has been shoved down your throat as a selling system and start becoming unique. You have to be unique. So let's do this. Let's take a couple of minutes, and I'm going to walk around and see what you're writing down. Let's first start with a why. I want to, so that. Now, I'm going to give you my why, which has nothing to do with anybody in this room. I want to teach every United States tax-paying citizen the difference between how wealth works and chasing math, so that they too could have the privilege of not filing a tax return in retirement if they simply understood what it is that I know. Notice I did not say I want everybody in the country to stop filing a tax return. Didn't say that, didn't infer that, don't want that. What I want are people who are interested in not filing a tax return, using the tax code finally for the first time in their life to benefit them. And if you don't believe me, if you need more proof, I'm not your guy. There's 13,000 books at Amazon written about what I do. 13,000. Go read a few, call me back. Well, call me in 6 months. No. No, you call me in 6 months. I've got to go out and find people who believe what I believe. So this process is going to take a little bit of time. Start off with, and here's the formula. I want to is all about you. It's what you want, it's what you desire, it's what you believe. It's the belief statement eloquently expressed. So that must be articulate for the benefit of others, singular in nature, and finite. So I want to, so that. I want to is all about me, the so that is all about somebody else. Let's have some fun. And by the way, anybody on the interweb wants to write it down and send it in the chat window, I'd love to read them. Start at the back of the room. I want to be able to run a martial arts school that is so system oriented, it helps oriented so that it helps people realize. What's that? Yeah. That's irrelevant. We'll get to that later. But this is what, and we talk about, when you read the book, Find Your Why, Simon will talk about a tree trunk. Okay. Well, Find Your Why, he just came out. This is, you're the tree trunk. You're the corporate why, all right? Then everybody else is what Simon refers to as a nest. These nests' why must be congruent with yours. So if this is your fundamental why for you, then everybody else, the directors and stuff, will have their own individual why. That's a great start. You know, you're laughing because it still sounds commoditized like everybody else, but you can build on this easily. What's that? We're not even using the workbook today, but I want you to take it home. So the benefit of others, why do you want to do what you do? Todd, I'm anxious to hear yours. Good. You know, it's amazing when they first start doing this, you start laughing. No, this doesn't sound good. Listen, this is a 6-month process. You have to start somewhere. And these are good places to start from. I want to
bring innovative ideas to increase profitability and originations for mortgage lenders so that Merlin knows we're on the cutting edge of technology.
Okay, it needs to be more of a benefit to them. The cutting edge is not a benefit.
Over here, brother.
I want to secure your peace of mind, absorb your paranoia, so that you can live your life worry-free. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, Ethan, let's see this masterful man. I want to educate charitable people so that they, okay, we're going to change that word because that leaves me to, but I'm already lost and I'm thinking of what the heck did you mean by that? Don't let me deviate from your message. Value and exponential impact. World through my business. Okay, there's no so that. Impact. Oh, there it is, so that, okay. I want to educate. Charitable, what do you mean by charitable? I understand, but you got to be eloquent there. You got to. Don't let me try and think. What did you mean by that? You have to spell that out in as few words as possible in a finite way. Okay. Oops, sorry. Help business owners. Okay. Does this begin to make sense? Okay. Lefties. God.
I've done this a million times and still stuck.
Yes, you are. Keep going. Keep going.
If you can read my chicken scratch.
So they can have bong bong. Is that bong bong sauce or bang bang sauce?
Bang bang. Someone who serves them in the realm of real estate services.
Okay.
So it's I want to consult with them about mortgage options so that if you want to some company. No, I go with
Okay.
Some cliche. But 5-point process solution so that my customers can grow their business by providing quality product to their customers.
Okay. No, that's a good start, but it's still way generic, way too generic. Okay. This is a start. This is a start. Does anybody in the interweb want to? Okay. Yes, please.
Sonny says, I want to educate my community so that they can make better and more informed decisions and improve the quality of their life.
Hold on. I have no idea what you do. Okay, so that's a kumbaya statement, but do you sell real estate? Are you a concrete salesman? Do you sell shoes or dresses? Okay, what's the next one?
Jessica White says, I want to motivate and inspire others to reach their potential by finding their purpose and excelling in life beyond their basic belief, because it bothers me to see people working in jobs that cannot fulfill them. It bothers me to see high school.
Stop. Get rid of all the because. Your why statement has nothing to do with supporting your belief. Your why statement is simply a belief. I don't need to know why you feel that way unless I start interrogating you. So the why statement should be what you started with. But I will tell you this, leadership and motivation begins with yourself. So you just can't say, I want to create a leadership role and become a motivator when you don't know what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So the leadership starts from within. Next one. Vic?
I believe in delivering a lasting positive impact in people's lives by using my talents and services because of my belief in fire, water, roof maintenance, restoration.
Vic's taken the class before. Vic, you're cheating. What's the next one?
I want to educate clients on how to be in control of their wealth so that they don't have to file a tax return.
Who's that? Caroluzzo? She's in my group. All right. That's it? All right. Very good. All right. So here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put in print your homework. And if you look at this and you go, man, I don't know if I would be convinced, you're not done. Because here's why. If I read you my mission statement, which I will in a minute, and if I were to print it and have everybody in my group stand up here and read the mission statement, and there's 47 people in our group, you know what you're going to get? 47 opinions and interpretations of the exact same message. So we're starting with a template. You are in no way done. You have a long way to go. So I want to share with you how effective this is. I want you to imagine for just a minute, we're at one of my meetings, and we meet 4 times a year, and there's 45 people in the room. And I'm going to call up somebody whose explanation of services is absolutely horrible. And I'm going to have them stand in front of me. I'm facing the person. The person is standing here facing over my shoulder everybody in our group. Can you imagine how nervous they are? They're standing in front of their peers about to talk about their explanation of services. So I'm going to stand there looking at the person and I'm going to go, what do you do for a living? Blah, 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 blah. Now here's how they're responding. So I'll stop and say, well, how did that work for you? Has it ever worked? No. But I'll find something in their communication that's of interest. Your client, by the way, will never do this homework for you. Your client has no clue what they're trying to even pull out of you. I am. So I'm going to start by asking, you mentioned something. What did you mean by that? And here's them. Well, what I meant was, see, I've already changed my body language from being scared stiff to actually conversing. I'm starting to relax. And then I'm going to even do more, and I can tell they're looking over my shoulder. I go, stop it. There's nobody else in the room. It's you and me. Let's dig deeper. What did you mean by that? Well, then they begin to lean forward. Then they begin to smile. Then they begin to engage, and I go, stop. That's your EOS. But think about this for a minute. Your client isn't going to stick around long enough to dig into your knickers to find out what you're trying to say. So if you really do know why you do what you do, you'll lead with that. And then I'm going to gauge the response that you give from that. And if I don't need legal services, you're going to know in 10 seconds, I'm the 85% of the people you don't want. See, you didn't know that, and you're still having a conversation with somebody trying to find their hot button. Oh, look, I've been through so many stupid training programs. Here's what one of them said. Just keep talking. And in the first 45 seconds, you're supposed to diagnose if they're amiable, analytic, expressive, or driver. Listen to this. You're supposed to change who you are to appease somebody you don't even like. Now, show of hands, who thinks that's going to work? Ever? Ever? Yet that's the way we're trained. We're trained to be somebody other than we are so we can appease somebody we don't even like. But if I could share with you why I do what I do and how I do it unique than anybody else in the industry, I get to watch your reaction. And if you're bored stiff, so am I. I'm not going to find out a hot button and see if I can convince you to do this. I'm not going to chase you. There's 330 million people in this country. What's 16% of 330 million? A lot. My only job is to go out and find those who believe what I believe and discard those that don't. Excuse me. I'm in Lauderdale doing a boot camp. I've got 20 guys in my class, and we're eating lunch in the lunch line that I paid for. Gentleman walks up to me and says, Tom, can I talk to you? And I said, sure. He says, you have to be careful. I said, really? He said, yeah. Some of your conversation might be political in tone. I said, so? He says, you're in Miami. 85% of the people here voted for Obama. I said, so what? Who cares? You might offend somebody. And I went, okay. Got back in the lunch line and go, whew. Information went just like this. He calls me when we're done at 5 o'clock. I'm driving home. I make it all the way to Titusville. He calls me on my cell phone. He goes, Tom, I want to join your group. And I said, Jeff, we have a problem. He said, what's that? And I said, you found it necessary to pull me out of my meeting and tell me I was doing something wrong. See, what you don't understand, Jeff, is that my job is to piss off 85% of the people so I can find the 15 who believe what I believe. He said, I've never had anybody talk to me like that. And I said, I get it. But that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find a way to politely dismiss people so that I can find the people who believe what I believe. And I'm telling you, once you find the people who believe what you believe, life is not only fun, you'll make more money than you ever thought possible, and you'll have a life of fun. Think of it this way. None of us in this room could invite all of our clientele to the same party. None of you can. There's a group of people, a clique, if you will, that will stand over there and they'll know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying. It's like listening to a 4-year-old in a playground. They're having fun, and they can't stand this group of people over here because they don't understand why they breathe. But because you were the chameleon, you were taught how you could put on a green coat to go talk to those people, switch outfits, and go talk to those people with your pink coat on. Or go talk to those people with your navy blue coat. Or go talk to these people with your black coat. Here's my point. What if you started with, this is what I believe, this is why I believe it, and this is how powerful this is. Now, I'm going to share with you a personal story. When I was developing the EOS, after reading this stupid book from Michael, Person of Interest, I'm in Atlanta. The group had 26 people at the time, and I'm talking about having something to say is more important than finding someone to say it to. And if you can eloquently explain what you believe, you're going to end up with a group of people who believe, and I almost started to tear up because everybody in the room had paid $10,000 to join my group, and they're there for one reason. They believe what I believe. And I'm telling you this, if you can articulate well enough why you do what you do and how you do it more unique than everybody else, you will end up with a clientele that you will absolutely love. You'll never get a 4 o'clock phone call going, oh crap, it's this idiot. You're going to go, how the heck are you? What's going on? Let's go play golf. Your whole life is going to change. And when your client says, Tom, what should I do next? It's not, oh, I'm going to go shop that. I don't know if that's any good or not, so I'm going to go do some research. They're going, if that's what you believe, and I believe that you know what you're doing, let's go. Or, in everything we do, we believe in challenging conventional wisdom with regard to traditional well. Who cares? I'm going to recite for you our mission statement, which, by the way, is 100% Simon Sinek. And if you look at his golden circle, the why, the how, and the what. I'm going to lead with 3 whys. I'm going to follow up with 3 hows, and the what you're going to laugh at. First 3 whys. In everything we do, we believe in challenging conventional wisdom with regard to traditional wealth accumulation strategies, but most important, wealth distribution models. As a group, we believe it simply does not work. And in everything we do, we believe in creating for our clients proven distributions in retirement where the distributions are exempt from taxation. And what we do, we believe in creating for our clients a product that is designed specifically to generate cash flow in retirement that is off the radar screen of the IRS for income tax purposes. Now, how we do it is by using the tax code. The tax code this year is 105 years old. How we do it is by using one of the most financially sound companies in the country today. And how we do it is by using a product specifically designed to generate cash in retirement where the distributions are exempt from taxation. What is it? Does it matter? Does it matter? Think about this for a minute. If I would have started with what it is, because if you look at every training program, here's what they do. Our industry is going to come out with a new what. So immediately we go and we do the research. What is this new what? How does this new what work? So here's what insurance companies will do. And I pick on the insurance companies because we are the worst at this. We spend millions of dollars developing a new what. We price it right. We make sure it's competitive. We want to make sure that long-term value. We do all of that crap. Then we have wholesalers come into a room like this, except this has windows. They don't, because they don't want them running away or jumping out. So they are in a room with no windows, and then they spend weeks learning how it works, how it's unique, how it's priced, how the features and benefits work, and then they give them something called a budget. And then they send them out into the world and then teach them how to explain why everybody in the country should be buying their what? See, this is why I do what I do. This is how I do it unique than everybody else, because what I do is irrelevant. The what I will let you buy is irrelevant. Our largest sale came from a doctor who said, "Tom, is what you're saying true?" I read him the tax code. He goes, "I'll give you every dollar you can find and add $100,000 to it. You don't want to see an illustration? You don't want to see what they taught me in illustration school? You don't want to see that?" "Nope, I don't. If it works the way you say it, and if you're doing it, I want to do it." Cool. I took an order. I didn't sell anything. Do you understand the difference? I took an order. I didn't sell anything. As a matter of fact, in summer of last year, we had our quarterly meeting in northern Michigan where the mantra was, the day you stop selling is the day your sales will begin to soar. Selling is self-serving for you. Helping somebody else is more rewarding. Stop selling. If you find words in your vocabulary, words in your vernacular that sound like commoditized crap, stop using them. It's that simple. Well, I don't know how to stop. Homework begins today, people. I can't teach you what I've learned in 40 years in an hour and a half. But I will share with you, if you can definitively explain what you're looking for and why you're looking for it, you're going to end up within 36 months of a group of clients who believe every word you say, will fight for you, and become an advocate of yours. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about advocacy. Let me define first what an advocate is. Someone who will speak on your behalf 7 days a week, 365 days a year, unsolicited by you. And here's when you know you have an advocate. Your friend, your advocate is standing here. Someone walks up to you, doesn't know you, asks you, "What do you do for a living?" And they answer. And not only do they answer, but they go into crap you can't do. And you're going, "John, wait a second. I don't do that." "Yeah, but if you could, you would." Okay, how do we build an advocate? The next book I want to write is How to Turn a Client into an Advocate. It's easier than you think. And what amazes me, when I go around the country, I'll say, "Okay, show of hands, who in the room has an advocate?" What I just defined, someone who will speak on your behalf, eloquently promoting you without your solicitation. Who has an advocate in their clientele? Show of hands. Okay, here's the most important question. Do you know why you got them? Don't have a clue. I wore my blue suit that day. I had my tan shoes on. I drove the Bentley.
Something transformed them that you did that just changed, make them a better person.
It has nothing to do with that. Let me tell you why you have an advocate, and please let this sink in, and I hope you take this to heart. The reason why you have an advocate is because that person saw in you more than you presented of yourself. They understand your why better than you do. And they know everything they've already visioned your business in 5 years from now. They know how big it's going to be, and they want to support you so they can get that big, and you're going, I don't know how I got him. He's just a friend of mine. We met over there at the Robin Hood. Really? See, think about this. We take so much of our business for granted. What are you doing when your butt is in a car seat and a stop sign? Listening to what? Radio and the dance? No, you should be thinking, how can I get better? I'm going to back up for just a minute now. It was 2013 that I met Coach Burt, sicker than a dog. We're over here on Mimi's Cafe, I think. I have a temperature of 106. I don't know why I even showed up. And I thought, you know what, this is a nice looking young man. I bet he's going to do well. I'll support him. So he had an organization called the Millionaire Mindset, how to walk like a millionaire, talk like a millionaire, act like a millionaire, live like a millionaire. Problem was, attendance started to get less and less, so we got rid of that group. But he wrote this book, Person of Interest. And I want to recite for you one paragraph in this book that Michael is now living the effect of what he wrote 6-7 years ago. What good is it to have 200,000 Twitter followers? But by the way, when I share this with you, I want you to think of the clients that you have. If we were to write them all down and put some demographic studies and why we have what we have, either net worth, area of demographic, whatever, what good is it to have 200,000 Twitter followers when only 2 are going to read your bio and nobody's going to buy a thing from you? I would rather have 10, just 10 certifiable lunatic maniacs who hinge on every word I say than have 200,000 people that sort of get what it is that I do. See, your clients don't have a clue what you do. They know the what, but they don't know why. They don't know why. And as soon as you can have an honest conversation with them about why you do what you do, the first time in your communication, the first time in your relationship with the client is going to look at you and go, is that what you're looking for? Now, I'm going to give you an example. I sell insurance and I sell investments. I go to do an annual review with the client, and I look on his desk. He has a life insurance policy from a competitor that's dated 6 months ago. I said, you just bought this. Yeah, why, Tom? Do you sell insurance? John Hancock? Ever heard of him? Yes. I didn't know that, Tom. I just know you as someone who sold me a mutual fund because I bought an IRA from you. That's all I thought you did. Shame on me. This was my fault. This was my fault. No, I know everybody in the room has a mission statement. It's on the wall. It's in the office. So when your clients come in, they get to read your mission statement, by the way, which you don't even know how to read. But it looked good. You framed it up nice. You put the maroon frame around the dark cherry. Yeah, it looks good. But it has no meaning to you. I've never met anybody standing in a lobby that's reading your mission statement. Because usually the first time they read that, and then they talk to you, man, wow, what a distance. You don't sound anything like your mission statement. It's your fault. It's my fault I didn't make that sale. It's my fault because I've never shared with my clients why I do what I do and what is my purpose. What is my value proposition that brings value to them, not me. I never had that conversation. I do now. And before I let a client out of the office, I'm going to tell you everything about me, why I do it, what my goal is, and how important you are to helping me get to my goal. When we talk about passion points, These are the things, when the person was up here in the room with the whole group sitting behind her, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to dig for passion points. What do you love? What are you excited about? Because here's what's happened when you start talking about something that you are proud of. You begin to smile. You begin to be very eloquent in your conversation, and all of a sudden it has nothing to do with you. You're sharing. You're not telling somebody what you're doing is wrong. You're not telling somebody you could buy a house different. You're not telling anybody that you could go to Marshall's art school up north of town and get the same results. That's not what you're saying. Your kid's wrong. Your kid's not. What you're saying is, this is why I do what I do. These are the results that I've had from people who have done exactly what we have recommended. And here is the result. And if I could do the same thing for your arrogant, bastard little kid, and turn him into an upstanding young man, wouldn't you want that? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Okay? So let's take some time. I want everybody to look at their curriculum, their career, and I want you to write down 4 things that you're passionate about. Paperwork should not be one of them, and cashing the commission check should not be one of them. What are you proud of? By the way, I refer to Michael's book as a stupid little book. My income has quadrupled since reading his stupid little book. So it ain't that stupid, is it? Who would agree that in an 8-hour day in our profession, we have at least 3 hours where we're doing nothing? Guess what? That's going to change as of today. Starting today, your downtime should be me time. What can I do to get better? Because in 2013, when I met Coach Burke, I was also introduced to Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And if you look at success as income, I made less money in 2013 than I did in 2012, yet I consider 2013 to be my best year in my life. Had nothing to do with income, it has to do with clarity. And when I first met with Coach, I said, look, I'm in a different phase in my life than you. I know you're trying to build something, I have something that's built, and if you're willing to take this old codger under the following circumstance, you're going to be talking and coaching people that is going to have no impact on my life. I'm past that, it's irrelevant, and I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to sit in the back of the room and I'm going to shut up. But there's also times in conversation where you're going to hit a chord with me, and I will dominate the conversation because it's important to me. I'm hiring you as a coach so I can steal from you that will help me, not you. No offense, Michael, not you, me. And he said, absolutely, let's do it. So 2013, I took some time off. And I did some introspection. I took some time to see how could I get better. My industry's not getting any better. The government's not being more lax on what it is that we do. The products aren't getting any better. I had to work on me. So I'm telling you, downtime from this point forward should be me time. There's plenty in this little workbook that's going to keep you busy for months. And you're about to get a pay raise. And 6 months from now, I can tell who's read the damn book and who hasn't. And then if you haven't, don't look at Michael saying, this system doesn't work, coach. Listen, there's a lot of things. There's not an athlete in the world that made top status by the coach doing it for him. Coach helped him, absolutely, but the coach didn't do the work for him. The athlete had to. You're about to get a pay raise. Everyone in this room, it becomes effective the day you can be. And how you can be effective is to take these down times and start introspection. Start working on me. What could I do better? And we're going to get in next toxic words that we have got to get out of our vocabulary. Because if you lead with a toxic word, you allow me to form an opinion about you and your career that you do not want me to form. Take them out. Who has a couple of passion points they'd like to share? Anybody? Okay.
Creating an easy process for the client.
Okay, perfect. Anybody? Yes, sir?
Educating no cost knowledge.
Okay. Yes?
Students accomplishing what I did not expect them to do.
The success of those who listen.
You did think.
Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine yourself at a cocktail party with me, and I engaged in conversation long enough to find you to get to that statement, how your body language would change from the very first time you and I sat down and said, what do you do for a living? I've got to fast forward you to that conversation, not the, I own a building down the street and I got space for 9 cars. And what we do is we take data. We run the data through the computer. We look at the data. Data comes out. I make assumptions on the data, make some changes to the data, put the data back in the computer. Isn't this exciting? Have I caught you yet? Are you thrilled? Because then when it comes out for the 93rd time, I look at the data and I form an opinion. And I'm going to meet with you and I'm going to show you what... But when you can lead with what you're passionate about and you say it with a smile, you lean forward and engage, watch the difference in reaction. What you think is a mundane I want to statement, if you can say it with a smile on your face, lean forward and care, you're going to get a completely different response. Who else? Yes, ma'am. Dana.
Introducing people that build profitable relationships.
Okay. Now, if I was to do your homework for you, I would want to know more about an example of where you got excited from that, okay? You might even want to use that as an example. Yep. Todd, what's a passion point from a goddamn lonely, low-life lawyer? Yeah, you're like me. You are up against the biggest commodity. I see lawyer and I go, oh my God. What is the joke? What's the bad news when a bus goes off a cliff and there's a 40-seat bus, there's only 39 seats filled? Could have had one more going off the cliff. Yeah, so what is a passion point for what you do?
Giving, challenging the status quo of the legal community, living life to its fullest.
Now, listen, he's an attorney. Probably the most hated, or not the most hated, but the most opinionated career. And if you're on the wrong side of an attorney, he's not your friend. But if he's starting off with, I am against the status quo, and you've got to assume 80% of the people don't like attorneys in the first place. You caught my attention. It's a low number? Well, if you could lead with that, I'm against the status quo and I do things differently, man, I'm all over you. And then I will take time out of my life to learn more about you. Now, can you imagine if you twisted that and said, what you're doing is wrong, and what I want to do is I'm going to take this part of the code and I'm going to turn that into that, and you're going to... Okay? Lead with what you're proud of, what you believe, and here's the most important thing. You can prove. You will never have anybody ever ask. Prove it. But here's what will come out when I ask you to do this. Your body language is going to change. When you talk about how you are unique and you challenge the status quo, you're going to be talking to me and engaging with me differently than any other conversation you've had. And that's the body language that I'm looking for. I don't want a commoditized attorney who does this and processes forms and fills out legal jargon. What I'm interested in is an attorney who's outside the box. So let me share with you my opinion of realtors. You overpaid son of a bitches. Now, is anybody in this room proud to be a realtor? You better be. But let me tell you where you could benefit someone like me. I hate banks. My goal in life is to be bank-free, not debt-free. I am not going to use a bank. The bank is more intrusive than the Internal Revenue Service. The questions you ask on a mortgage application is more intrusive than anything. And all I want to do is buy the house of my dreams. Here's what you could do, and I hope you start engaging this language in your EOS. I take the crap that's going to be thrown at you because of all the forms you're going to need to sign, and I'm going to keep that to an absolute minimum. I want this whole process to be thinking about the positive. I'm going to take the negative out of this relationship. Wow. Now, here's what most realtors are going to do, Tom. You know that thing you just did? They need proof of that, and I know you don't like doing that, so you got to have it, and I need it by 4. Oh, my God. But that's the real estate business, right? There's all, I mean, if you're dealing with a bank, you've got a cash buyer, it's a different story. But if you're dealing with a bank, there's crap you have to take off the plate of the person who's buying. And I'm hoping you can find a way to put that in your explanation of services. All the things that you hate about buying real estate, I'm going to minimize for you because our firm specializes in boom. Whoa. And I will argue, everybody's making any good money is more concerned about their time than they are the money they're going to save. Because today, the only commodity I cannot control is time. I can control my income. I cannot control my time. And if you can help my time become minimized by the crap that I know I have to do, but I hate doing it, then I'm interested in doing business with you. If we're in a commoditized business of life insurance and investments, what are we doing to make ourselves unique? I want to caution you, John, on using the word millionaire. I know that that's going to be the result. But if we use that in our initial conversation, I'm not a millionaire. And I've already shut down. We help people become millionaires. Okay? So don't just start off with a millionaire. We help people get to that point. Because you do not want me to form an opinion that, my gosh, you're so far out of my head. You talk about you talk about middle class and millionaires in the same sentence. How the heck are you going to do that? I'm already dismissing your statement as unbelievable. But you sure as heck could say, I want to take the middle class, teach them how stuff works, and help them become a millionaire, a tax-free millionaire. Now you got a story I want to listen to. Okay? Here's my point. Every word that's used in an explanation of services does one thing. It forms a first impression. And here's a quote from Coach Burt. If you have a negative first impression, it takes 26 opportunities to change a negative first impression. And I will argue with the person you pissed off is going to want to hang around you 26 touches to be turned around. They've already formed an opinion. I'm gone. Let's take a sheet of paper. I want you to draw a line right in the middle all the way down. Clean sheet of paper. A vertical line from the middle of the page all the way to the bottom of the page. On the left-hand side, I want you to write bad. On the right-hand side, I want you to write the word good. Now, this is the hard part that we're doing in virtual training. We're taking an assumption that every career has a negative set of words that are commoditized. So, for example, in real estate, stop using the word. Attorney. I hear that word and I'm going, ugh. Make that your last word. Give me an opportunity to hear. So on the left side, I'm going to share with you my industry so that you can relate. In your industry, there are toxic words, and you'll begin to see why I'm associating these words in my industry as toxic. You can identify words in your industry that's toxic. Life insurance. Planner. Certified financial planner. Certified to screw you. Certified. Now, I'm not bad-mouthing the degree, but if your value proposition of CFP MSFS, I could take out my phone right now and say, Google, identify within a 25-mile radius of where I'm standing all the Masters of Science in Financial Services. And if that's your value proposition, there's 47 of you right here. I don't need you. Don't lead with these words. Casket. Yes, I had somebody talk about caskets. Are you serious? What's my impression when I hear you talking about, let's have fun, let's grab a beer. I'm going to talk about why I want oak or cherry. Oh my God. Let's talk about the right side of the page. These are words that I hope you incorporate into every one of your explanation of services. Teach. Share. Help. Educate. And this is the one I love the most, and I'm hearing it a lot now. It's starting to sound commoditized. Advocate. I truly believe I am an advocate for the average American tax-paying citizen. Because if you simply understood how wealth worked, you wouldn't do what you're doing. I'll give you one example. When you retire in the state of Tennessee and go to take your retirement account, are you aware you're paid fourth? You know that money in your statement, it says it's yours. It ain't yours. There's 3 other people that are going to take your money first. You didn't know that, did you? And by the way, there is no one required by law to understand any of that. See, I'm the United States government. I'm going to force all the regulation, all the laws that have to do with financial services, and I'm going to get them to focus on minutia irrelevancy. You know, those fees and commissions that we haven't talked about, that you're going to sue me for life because of the 1/4% we didn't disclose, ignorant of the fact that 40% of whatever you accumulate is going to be gone. And if I'm the government, let's not focus on the 40 that's mine. Let's focus on the 1/2 of 1% the agent didn't talk to you about. Let's sue him. The most powerful character in The Wizard of Oz is Toto. Toto was the little doggy who pulled back the curtain and said, you know, that big ugly picture on the wall with the smoke and the fire was nothing more than a guy behind a curtain doing this. Guess what, people? This is all we're doing right now. If you knew that you were going to be paid fourth and that you paid every fee, every commission, every asset management charge on the government's value in your retirement plan, you wouldn't do it. But since nobody's required by law to understand how it works, we all say the same thing. Do you want to make more money every year you're in business? Do you want to retire at that level of success that you've enjoyed up to and including that date of retirement? And do you believe personal income tax rates have got to, by law, go up? Today represents the lowest tax bracket of the rest of your life. It won't get any better starting tomorrow. It is as good as it is today. So what are you doing with your money? I know, I'm postponing it. I'm going to wait for, I'm in the lower tax bracket in retirement. Bullshit, you just said you don't want to be in a lower bracket. And since I'm not required by law to understand how any of this works, we go around saying, when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Ask Coach Burt that money that he put in when he was a coach into his 403B plan at the school that he was working at a 9% tax bracket. He's making millions now. He gets to pull out at 37. There you go. That's a winner. But if I could teach you how wealth works, I will not form an opinion. I will not make a recommendation. I will not sell you anything. My job is to simply educate you and be honorable of whatever your decision is. If you choose to know what the rules of the game are and stay engaged, I'm okay with that. But people buy real estate today not knowing at all how it works. Show of hands, who in the room would borrow money from me if I didn't tell you what the interest rate was going to be? Anybody? Didn't think so. Yet how many in the room have an IRA, 401k, or real estate? Y'all do. You're borrowing money from the government having no idea who's going to be in office on the day you retire. And Bernie wanted a 90% tax rate. Hillary wanted a 55% tax rate. And you're in the lowest tax bracket of your life and you're deferring income. Why? Why? If you understood what you're doing, you wouldn't do it. But nobody's required by law to understand it. All of my knowledge has to be on you buying something. Nobody's responsible for the effect we're going to have. Nobody. So what do I do that makes myself different than everybody else? I educate, advocate, teach, share, and help. I just simply want to share with you what you're currently doing and what's going to happen. I didn't know that. I didn't know I had to recapture real estate as ordinary income. See, I bought real estate to have passive income so my tax bracket would be low. Good, when you sell that business, guess what? You owe income tax on what was depreciated. At a 40% bracket, and you all of your life fought like hell to be in a 20% bracket. Listen, people, I'm not saying real estate's bad. I'm just saying, do you know how it works? Because I get so much fun in my life doing what I do by simply educating people and watch them go, huh? What? Really? That's how that works? I didn't know that. Nope, nobody does. And you're not required to know. But now that you know, what do you want to do? See, I'm not selling anything. I want to create an environment conducive for people to buy that house. I want to be the person who says, you're the most unique attorney in the world. I want to do business with you. All of this is built around a passion point. All of this is built around words you cannot use in an explanation of services. All of this is built around a firm core belief. And for a minute, takes too long to erase that crap. Oh, geez. Let's go back to the why statement. Now here, Simon Sinek will tell you everybody has one why. And it's a personal why. And sometimes that personal why will lead you to a business why. Again, every time I've challenged his thinking, I've lost. I think if you were to dig deep enough, I do have a personal why, but I also have a business why. I've already shared with you my business why. I want to so that I have 16 conversations I can have with somebody. 16. Just on 4 memorized I want tos and 4 memorized benefit statements. I have 18 potential conversations. Your brain is brilliant. Your brain is getting lazy. Smartphones are making us stupid. I have kept track of every business phone call I've made since 1983. Now, yes, you can imagine every area code's changed. Michigan had 3. Detroit has 7. But your brain is brilliant. When you start writing down, memorizing things in the clutch, when you think you're panicking, your brain's going to come to your aid. And it's going to come to your aid because while you were sitting at that stop sign, you weren't listening to Paul Simon, you were practicing on what to say. And when you practice long enough, hard enough, with the right intent, these words are going to eloquently come out of your mouth. And when they come out of your mouth, you get to gauge the reaction. What do you do for a living? Who hides behind a curtain at a cocktail party hoping nobody asks, what do I do for a living? Because whenever asked, I throw up on people. I word it wrong, I don't know what I'm doing. So when somebody asks me, what do I do for a living now, I'll give you an example. I'm flying to Lauderdale, actually for that boot camp, and I'm sitting in first class. That's all I fly anymore. There was a time in my life I couldn't. I'm sitting in first class. I don't like talking to people. I love listening to Yanni. It allows me to introspectively put myself where I need to be. And this gentleman next to me says, so what do you do for a living? I had just finished the book EOS, so I looked at him and I pointed my finger and I said, I teach people just like you how to accumulate as much wealth as you want off the radar screen of the IRS for income tax purposes using the tax code. And I'm putting my headphones on. He goes, what? And I started laughing. I said, I teach people just like you, how to accumulate as much money as you want, using the United States tax code and never have to file a tax return in retirement. He goes, my God, that's fascinating. Would you teach me? And I said, no. Now, you want to become a person of interest? Become scarce. Become scarce, which is the exact opposite of when I first met Coach Burt. He wanted to do Instagram, he wanted to own radio, he wanted to own TV, he wanted to own billboards. Become scarce. He goes, you're not going to teach me? And I said, no. He said, why not? And I said, because I don't have any personal clients anymore. My clients are investment advisors, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to Lauderdale to teach 17 of them how to do this strategy for their clients. He goes, and you're not going to teach me? I said, no. He goes, let me tell you who you're talking to. Now, people, I'm not stupid, okay? First class, going to South Florida. He says, I sell every federal penitentiary their security system. I looked at him and smiled, and I went, you're worth a lot of money. He goes, yes, I am. I said, this would be perfect for you. And he goes, you're not going to share it with me? And I said, no. He said, well, I've got 7 people flying with me. We're going down to Key West. We're going to go fly fishing, and 4 of them are financial advisors. Would you teach them? Hell no. You're not going to teach them? No. Now, this man followed me to baggage claim begging for a business card. And here's my point. Wouldn't we all like to do that? Have such a powerful statement of what we truly believe that somebody is so engaged, they will chase you to do business. My son put new tires on his Jag. He bought an F-Type, the kind that sounds like a Suzuki motorcycle. Whee! And he thinks that is the coolest sound in the world. I think it's absolutely the stupidest sound. He's going to get new tires on his car. The person who's ringing him up goes, well, what do you do for a living? Because his license plate says retirement plan. He's driving his retirement plan. And he goes into an explanation of services, and she goes, I need to do business with you. Okay, people. In your career, wouldn't you like to have a conversation that lasted less than 10 seconds and having somebody saying, I want to do business with you? This is how powerful having the right explanation of services is. Matt texted me, shooting fish in a barrel. Here's the neatest thing, and this is what Coach teached. I went to college. This is what he taught me. When you become a person of interest, you become attractive. You are not repelling, you become attractive. And now you become the buyer. Do you think Matt's going to go after somebody making $12 an hour punching numbers in at a discount tire center? Maybe not. But if I'm desperate and I don't have any sales coming in, you bet I will. And there's a good chance maybe her husband has a better job, her mother and father have a better job, their children are more successful, whatever. But see, it all goes back to what do you want? If I want one-eyed pharmacists practicing east of the Mississippi with one leg, and if I'm able to go around the world and share that story eloquently enough, you know what I'm going to have in 36 months? Registered pharmacists, live on the East Coast, look out of one eye, and hop around a pharmacy. But we don't know what we want. This is where homework begins. What do you want? If you had your druthers, what would your ideal client look like? Write that down. Because again, this is homework. I'm going to give you stuff to think about when I'm not around you. What is my ideal client? And please don't say like my father, anyone who can fog a mirror with a checkbook is a potential client. No, please don't do that. Do you want a certain demographic? Do you want a certain income level? Do you want a certain net worth? All right, I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm going to finish up with 3 types of explanation of services. I got 20 minutes. I want to go for 10, and then I'm going to open it up to questions, even from the interweb people. There are 3 times that you're going to be asked, what do you do for a living? 3 different scenarios. Ethan is probably the only person in here I know very well, and I haven't prompted anybody. I was fortunate that my first year in the business, I met a gentleman who was one of the most successful in our company. He had 5 boys, all in college at the same time. He wore a navy blue pinstripe 3-piece suit, a white shirt, and a navy blue rep tie. Now, he had 30 suits, 50 shirts, and 20 ties, but that was his uniform. He felt very comfortable dressed that way. He would be at a cocktail party. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to watch body language, okay? He would go to a cocktail party and ask me, what do I do for a living?
What do you do for a living?
He would say, by the way, I did not ask him to extend his hand. So let me share with you what happens in the United States of America. You must have a definitive reason to despise me. You must have enough information about me to hate my guts to not extend your hand. It's rude in this country to not respond by extending your hand. So Ray would go, I sell life insurance, excuse me, and walk away. Now, you talk about, ugh. So this is what I love what Ray said next. You can imagine what you're doing. You're going around a cocktail party going, who is this Ray guy? Now, the benefit is 90% of the clients or people in there were already clients of Ray. So Ray knew that 90% of the people were going to talk about him. Here's what Ray's doing. Who invited him? Where does he live? How much money does he make? What's his family like? Does he like his wife? So in a formal situation, I'm going to let other people talk about me rather than me. I'm going to be very courteous. I'm going to extend my hand, smile, say, I sell life insurance, and walk away. Now, I don't even have the cojones to do that. But Ray did. And he shared with me that 95% of the time at that same cocktail party, when we're done at 11 o'clock and we're going home, you sought me and said, everybody's talking good about you, that if I ever buy life insurance, I should buy it from you. Now, in a formal setting, I don't know who you are. I don't know if I want you as a client, because I go back to Coach Burt. I'm the buyer here. I don't know who you are. So I'm going to ask people about you while you're doing the same thing about me. If you're a child molester, if you're a felon, I don't want you as a client anyway. So in that situation, I'm going to extend my hand. I'm going to give you my statement of fact and walk away. In a social setting, we're at a cocktail party. I'm holding a wine stem full of wine. The mayor of the town, who you know, he doesn't know you, is walking across the living room floor. He's got a full glass of wine too. I mentioned full glass because you have time to kill. Now think about this. If I didn't have anything to say, that's going to be a long 5 minutes, isn't it? Oh my God, what do I say? No, I really want this guy as a client, so what I'm going to do, talk about how successful I am? See, I'm top of the table. What the hell does that mean? You sit on top of a table? What can I say? Man, I've got one opportunity, I'm going to blow it. In a social setting where there is no time constraint, sitting first class in an hour and 10-minute flight from Atlanta to Lauderdale, I knew I had an opportunity to share my stories. And my stories are always going to be about the problem, not the solution. Did you hear me? I'm not talking about what I can do. I'm talking about what you're already doing wrong and helping you understand there's a problem. See, Coach will tell you, money has changed hands when problems are solved. But I'm leading with the solution. You haven't even acknowledged the problem, so shut up and listen to me because I'm really good. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Rather than spend some time and find out what is a problem with somebody. You know, there's a group of millennials, Coach calls them Red Bull entrepreneurs, in a room just like this. And you know what they do? This is all they're doing. Let's identify problems in this country. Let's brainstorm how we can find a solution. What can we do to make someone else's life better? That's where you become a billionaire. When Amazon was created, he lost money for how many years? 14. Now, not many people can bankroll a 14-year loss, but now they're saying his business is worth $1 trillion. You've got Toys R Us closing, Babies R Us closing, you've got Office Depot and Office Max merging. This is going to change the way you buy stuff. Sears filed for bankruptcy. And by the way, Sears filed for bankruptcy and is going away. They're not, as I understand it, they're not reforming. They're saying bye-bye. Kmart. What can we do to help people's problems? So in my conversation talking with this lawyer, I'm going to talk about all the things I know that people do wrong. For example, as a business owner, I'm going to ask you a question. If you had to write a check for $10,000 today, you have to. You're either going to go to write something that's going to save taxes, or you're going to go to something, write it that will postpone taxes. Where would you rather your money be? Something that's going to reduce your tax bill or simply postpone it? Well, reduce. That's a no-brainer. Why are you asking me that question, Tom? Well, didn't you pay your house off? Yeah. And you're maximizing your 401k? Yeah. Why? You're doing the exact opposite of what you just said. You killed your deduction and you're maximizing the postponement. Is that what you wanted? See, this is my sell. This is how hard my sell is. Did you know that it did that? See, most people don't. And if I could fix it, do you want it fixed? Yeah. Now I've got permission to dig into his knickers. See, if I go after him saying, let me gather some data. My sales manager said I needed to get some data. So give me some data. How much money do you make? What? Not interested. I didn't think so. But let's just talk about the problems most people don't even know they have. And then I'm going to simply tell you that I could probably fix 90% of them. Would you want them fixed? When I meet somebody today that's extremely successful, I'll go, you know something, you're good. You're good. But you're not great. You're not great. But you don't need a darn thing I sell. You don't need anything from me. But I will tell you right now, you're not great. And the only difference between where you are and where I know you could be is having someone like me on your payroll, and I'm not on your payroll. So my only question to you, Mr. or Mrs., do you want to be great? Nope, I'm happy where I am. Okay, but that's the guy you were going to spend 6 months chasing. My son called me several years ago, not anymore, he won't do this, but he says, Dad, I'm talking to a billionaire. I said, wow, Matt, how many times have you seen him? This will be my 3rd time. I said, Matt, has he made you do backflips yet? Is he asking you to put a ball on your nose and bark? He goes, Dad, what are you talking about? I said, Matt, he's not going to buy anything from you. He's appeasing you. Dad, he has a lot of money. I said, I'm sure he does, and you're not going to get any of it. Today, he won't talk to that guy. But he's got enough of a reputation now where some of those people are calling him. That's how you become a person of interest. Please don't get on the interweb and talk about everything that you've done successfully and all the stuff that you sell. That is irrelevant. The what is irrelevant. Everything everybody does in this room can be done by somebody else. Why do you do it? And your client is not going to do enough to make it your job to dispose or to dispel your why. I will, because I teach it. And once you find it, life will be so much easier. You'll be making more money than you ever thought possible. You'll have clients who love you, like you, trust you, write you checks, and would continue to do so for the rest of your relationship. And anytime anyone they know ever needs the product that you're selling, they will recommend you first. But how do we get advocates in our clients? That leads us to the 3rd setting. This is the most complicated. This is the one that will require the most homework. But I will argue this is also the one that will give you the most financial success of all 3 of them. It's called the referral setting. Here's what you need to do. You need a yellow pad and a pen. And you make an appointment with your client for 30 minutes. And this is how you start the conversation. I want you to write this down because it's really difficult. Now, I want you to get all these letters in here. I'm sorry. Now listen, who in the room is an alpha? Me! You ain't never going to say, I'm sorry. But here you are. And I'm going to tell you why. You have to start with you being from the side of weakness. You screwed up. Your clients don't have a clue what you do. They know the what, but they don't know why you do it. And here's a statement. I hope that you don't have to write this down, but let this burn into your head. Your clients know you by one thing: the last interaction you had. That's it. They don't know why you do it. They don't know your business plan. They don't know your vision. They don't know your goals, your desires. They know the transaction that you had. This is why you begin with, I'm sorry. And for those of you, this is recorded, right? Okay. I strongly encourage you to go back and read this. Do not write this down. Just focus, okay? I'm going to share with you a conversation that I would have with a client. You know, I want to apologize. I want to apologize because very few of my clients know why I do what I do. They see the what, I drive a nice car, but they don't know really why I do this. And I want to share with you on a one-to-one why I do it. And I want to share with you how important you are to my success. The only reason I am as good as I am is because of people like you. But there's something called Pareto principle where 80% of my time is consumed by idiots I don't want to do business with that'll only provide me 20% of my revenue. And I'm only able to spend 20% of my time with people like you. I need your help. This is why I'm telling you people, you have to do homework. I'm trying to find people just like you so I can spend less time finding them and more time spending with you. It's what I refer to as the rear view mirror syndrome. Now, who's the youngest in the room? Do you remember driver's ed? Do they still offer that where you get into a car and they have to drive with an instructor? Okay, do you remember how many times you were told to look in the rear view mirror? How often? 6 seconds. I've driven from Cincinnati to here, looked in the rear view mirror once, thought it was a siren because everything I do is at the front windshield. See, we sell the same way too, because we're out there driving, looking for the next sale through the windshield, when in fact, every sale you have is sitting in your back seat that you've ignored. So here's what you do. You slam the brakes on, you get off the side of the road, you turn your seat around, and you re-engage with the people who know you already, like you, trust you, and already are writing you checks. And you share with these people not only how wonderful the relationship has been, but how involved they need to be in the future success of what you're doing. Now, I had a coach back in '96. His name was Steve Moeller out of Orange County, California, and he had us grade our clients. What was neat is he didn't say what was an A, what was a B, what was a C, and what was a D. He allowed us to do that. So I gave my clients A's, B's, C, D's, and he said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go back to your office, and then I want you to call your A clients, and I want you to tell them you love them. Now, for all of us homophobes, we would never do that. We're not going to tell a man of the same sex, God, I love you. So I had one client of mine who lived in Oklahoma who was responsible for 5 generations of referrals. He personally was responsible for probably 30% of my revenue. I called him and I said, John, I just got back from my training meeting and I have to share with you. It became very evident very quickly how important you have been to my success. And I'm calling simply to tell you that I love you. It was an 1/8 of a second. There was no giggling. There was no laughter. There was no sex. There was no sensual. He responded with, I love you too, Tom. God, I get goosebumps still talking about this. When you share with somebody how important they are to your success, you are building an advocate. But the advocate who is desperately trying to figure out how I can refer you doesn't know how to refer you. Who in the room has difficulty getting a referral? Show of hands. This was me before. Now you liars, raise your hand. Here's why it's difficult to get a referral. If your client knows you based on the last transaction, and you say, how many people do you know that I can go talk to? Well, they're going, okay, well, this is what I did. Who do I know that needs that? Not, who do I know that needs to plug into your vision? Who do I know that needs that? So here, for the first time, you're going back to your clients and you're sharing with them how important they are to your success. I'm looking for this. One-eyed pharmacist, one leg, east of the Mississippi. 2.3 children. I don't know how you'd calculate that. Income of $50,000 or more. If that's my demographic, if that is what I want, this will be the first time in your relationship with this client he knows what you're looking for. And here's what you're going to get. Tom, is that really all you need? You need people with that? I got 9 people right off the top of my head that you could go talk to. That's really all you're looking for? The referral setting is the most powerful of all 3. It is the easiest, but it's also the most difficult. It's easiest because you already have a client to talk to. It's the most difficult because you better have your crap in order. If you cannot definitively express what you're looking for, the demographic, the income, whatever it is that you're going to put as your want list, don't do this. You will get worse results by coming in half-assed than you would be coming in completely prepared. The more prepared you are, the more advocate of that relationship you will get. Okay? So let's sum it all up. The explanation of services is broken down into 3 areas. Your belief statement. This is what I believe. You lead with what you believe. You explain how you do it. So you give an example of what you have done for others and the success that they've had. Gauging the reaction of the person you're talking to, you then ask for the close. If I could do the same thing for you, would you like to get together next Tuesday? There are 3 opportunities to give your explanation of services. There's the formal setting when you don't give away the prize. There's the social setting when you want to engage back and forth. You're trying to be the buyer here, so you're trying to figure out, is this person someone that you could work with? And then the referral setting. I will tell you, the referral setting is the most humbling because you will eat crow. You will have to go back and apologize for everything you've done wrong. And I'm telling you, people, if you expose your empathy, if you expose your shortcomings to somebody, you allow someone to look into your soul and go, you know what, I believe you. I like you. I want to engage with you. If you put on this facade of I'm always right, always the best, I'm not interested. If you're that good, you don't need me. But if you can share with me some frailties that you have, some ways that I might be able to help you, man, I'm all in. I'm all in. The average person today wants to see their rep succeed. Whether it's an attorney, whether it's a banker, whether it's real estate, whether it's product, they want to see you succeed, if anything, because they don't want to train somebody else. If we go into the relationship understanding the person you're talking to in a referral setting already wants your success, help him help you. What are you looking for? That's what I'm saying. Your homework begins today. You have a lot of homework to do. I've given you the skeleton to draw, and now you can make them as fat as you want or as skinny as you want. But I'll tell you, in about 6 months, I can tell who's got a skinny skeleton and who's got this fat son-bitch. Are there any questions? Who is better prepared today to talk to somebody than they were when they walked in? Oh, I have succeeded. I have succeeded. Are there any questions on the interweb? Nothing? Thanks for your attendance, everybody. Have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy friend and family. And keep your darts to a minimum. Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Same here.